In the heart of Ibadan, where the air hummed with the chatter of market women and vendors, Bola sat quietly in her father's living room. Her hands were clasped tightly in her lap, but her heart was in turmoil. The faint sound of family laughter drifted in from the room next door. Today was the day the family business, Akinola Textiles, would pass to its new leadership. Bola had always believed that she, being the eldest and most devoted, would be prepared to take over. As the family gathered, her father, Baba Akinola, in his worn agbada, cleared his throat. "My children," he began, "today is a special day for us. Our family's legacy must continue." He paused, looking more serious than usual. Bola watched him eagerly, but something felt wrong. Her younger brother, Yemi, sat relaxed, a slight smirk on his face that hadn't gone unnoticed by Bola. Baba Akinola continued, "After much consideration, I have decided that the mantle of leadership will fall on." His voice dropped. "Yemi." There was a collective gasp. Bola's heart sank deep into her stomach. She turned to her brother, disbelief etched on her face. Bola's mother tried to catch her eye, offering a silent plea for understanding, but all Bola saw was betrayal. How could they choose Yemi when he had never shown any serious interest in the business? Her life had been devoted to Akinola Textiles, working late nights and thinking of ways to expand. Later that day, Bola approached her father. "Baba, why? Why Yemi? I've worked so hard." Her voice broke. Baba Akinola sighed deeply, avoiding her gaze. He's the son needed to carry on the family name in the business." Bola felt as though the ground beneath her had crumbled. She was not only cut out, but pushed aside for her brother, who spent most of his time away in Abuja, uninterested. "This is unfair," she whispered, a hint of anger overshadowing her hurt. Days turned into weeks. Bola remained in the shadow of her family's decision, her presence at the textile office reduced to a mere figurehead. At meetings, her brother wielded the power she craved. The whispers in the market intensified, murmuring about Yemi's incompetence and dismissing her expertise. Bola suffered silently, her pride wounded. Her heart burned with a mix of sadness and a growing resolve for justice. She was the talk of her community. Everywhere she went, eyes filled with pity followed her. Her mother attempted to console her. "This is just a phase, Bola." But Bola knew that this wasn't just a phase. It was her life being stolen, her dreams dismissed because she wasn't Yemi. She sat at her usual spot by the small stream near their house, thinking of how to reclaim her rightful place. One evening, as the sun dipped towards the horizon, Bola received a call from Mr. Ade, the accountant of Akinola Textiles. He hesitated before speaking. "Madam Bola, I know this isn't my place, but there's something you should see. It's concerning the business finances." Curiosity piqued. Bola agreed to meet him. They sat across from each other in a small cafe, Mr. Ade's fingers nervously tapping his briefcase. "Yemi, he struggled with his words. "He's funneling money out of the business. I thought you should know." Bola's heart raced. She felt a mix of betrayal, anger, and a small, terrible sense of vindication. "Show me everything," she demanded, determined to uncover the truth. Mr. Ade laid out financial records showing large, unaccounted transfers. Her resolve hardened. Perhaps this was her chance to prove herself, to show them all that she, not Yemi, was right for the job. Bola chose to fight back, to reclaim not just the business, but her dignity. The debts, they weren't a mere coincidence. They were part of a scheme, something she couldn't abide. As Bola pieced together the evidence, her plan began to form. It was time to confront her family, but how could she trust them again? Her heart hurt with every uncovered lie, but she knew she had to protect the business. The thought of returning to her father, accusing Yemi, filled her with dread yet determination. On the day she planned to reveal everything, Bola entered the family house with her head held high. Before she could speak, her father spoke first, eyes casting downwards. "Bola, there's something." The door slammed open. Yemi stood before them, sweat lining his brow, panic written on his face. "Baba, I need help. There are people claiming debts. I didn't know what else to do." Bola locked eyes with him, the weight of her knowledge heavy in the air. She was ready for a confrontation that would change everything. A dreadful silence swallowed the room. Would justice be served, or would betrayal win again? The tension in the room was palpable as Yemi shifted uncomfortably. Baba Akinola's hands shook slightly, betraying the strong facade he was trying to maintain. Bola took a deep breath, the evidence she had gathered feeling like an unbearable weight in her handbag. Her lips trembled as she prepared to reveal the truth. "Baba, I have proof. Yemi has been siphoning money from Akinola Textiles. It's not just debts, it's fraud," she said, her voice firm yet filled with years of hurt. She laid out the documents on the table. Yemi's face turned ashen. Baba Akinola's eyes widened in shock as he flipped through the pages, recognition dawning on his face. His disappointment in Yemi was clear. "Yemi, how could you?" Baba asked, his voice low and strained. Yemi opened his mouth to speak, but no words came. Bola watched him confront the consequences of his actions. Her heart conflicted between justice and familial love. Yemi finally found his voice, but it was drenched in desperation. "Baba, I was trying to make some extra money. His voice trailed off, unable to justify the deceit. The room fell silent, the air thick with unspoken emotions. Bola's heart ached, not only for the business, but for the brother she once knew. "Yemi," Bola interjected softly, "what you did could ruin us. But maybe we can still save the business if we act now." She met his gaze, searching for any sign of remorse or willingness to repent. She longed not just for retribution, but for healing. As Yemi sat down heavily, putting his face in his hands, he mumbled, "I didn't mean for it to go this far." Bola felt the first flickers of regret in him, but the anger within her was still a raging inferno. How could her own brother betray them like this? Baba Akinola's voice cut through the silence. "Something needs to be done," he said gravely. Bola nodded, but the path forward seemed steeped in pain and conflict. Her mind was a storm of emotions, confusion mingling with her desires for revenge and justice. The very same evening, amidst the tension-laden atmosphere, Bola found herself sitting alone at the small stream near her house. The moon bathed the water in a calm, silver glow, a stark contrast to the turmoil inside her heart. She picked up a pebble, throwing it into the water and watching the ripples disrupt the mirrored surface, much like her family now. As Bola sat there, her mind wandered to the old Bible verses her late grandmother used to read aloud. She heard her soft voice recite, "Vengeance is mine, I will repay, saith the Lord." The words echoed in the quiet of her memory, resounding with a truth she couldn't dismiss. Bola pressed her palms into her eyes, grappling with the realization that perhaps her battle wasn't just with Yemi, but with the bitterness she harbored. Tears flowed down her cheeks, a mix of rage and deep-seated sorrow. She cried out in a whisper, "God, why is this so hard?" As she looked up at the sky, Bola felt a warmth embrace her, not unlike the comforting arms of her grandmother. For the first time she pondered forgiveness, not for Yemi alone, but for herself. Could she forgive what felt like an unforgivable betrayal? Could she let go of the anger that threatened to consume her? The next morning, Yemi approached Bola tentatively as she sat in the kitchen, the aroma of sweet pap lingering in the air. His once slightly arrogant demeanor was replaced by sincere remorse. "Bola, I'm sorry," he said, voice barely above a whisper. "I promise I'll fix this. I need your help." His eyes were pleading, a humility she hadn't witnessed before. Bola's heart softened, the walls she had built slowly crumbling. She knew this was the moment of decision, the crossroads between perpetuating revenge and choosing the hard path of forgiveness. It dawned on her that perhaps Yemi was God's lesson in grace. She nodded slowly, finding the strength to extend the olive branch. "Let's work together then. But know this, Yemi, forgiving doesn't mean forgetting," she said, her voice firm, yet filled with an unspoken love. The beginning of reconciliation was fragile, but it was there. As they sat together, plans and solutions mingling with apologies and regrets, Bola felt the peace of Christ replace her anger. It was not an easy transition, but one that felt divine. Baba Akinola joined them, his pride tempered with wisdom from years lived fully. Weeks later, As Akinola Textiles started to regain its footing, Bola knew their journey was far from over. Scars remained, but they served as reminders of the lessons learned. She left her Bible on the main office table, opened to the verse she now cherished deeply. As Yemi passed by, he paused, reading, "Forgive as the Lord forgave you." Their family was forever altered, but as they faced the future, Bola realized that true leadership came not from a title, but from the strength to forgive and the courage to trust in God's purpose. In the stillness of the office, a new chapter began, on calmer waters, carried not by revenge, but by redemption.
Thank you so much for listening to this intriguing story. I hope it touched you or taught you something. For more stories like this, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the page. And guys, if you'd like to see a part 2, or you have thoughts on what happened, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. See you in the next story.